And Tim, you've had quite an adventure in Tynwald this morning. Tell us what happened.
Well, Tynwald was suspended, which is highly unusual. I noticed that the Deputy Clerk, Jonathan King, and he's up on the Legislative Council part of Tynwald, and that's where the Hansard is. And there was quite a kerfuffle going on behind the scenes as to, well, it doesn't seem to be working. But I leave a little lamp on in our studio, and that hadn't gone out. So eventually I started messaging Jonathan to say what's going on. And he said, are you still broadcasting? And we were at that point. So they still have a record. And that was what it was all about. And then I glanced over and noticed our lamp had gone out. And the studio had no power whatsoever. So got back in touch. No, we're not on air either now. So at that point, the clerk, Roger Phillips, had to then talk to the president, and they had to come to the decision that because there's no Hansard, no record of what's being said in Tynwald, they had to suspend it. And Alf Cannon, the Treasury Minister, was on his feet at the time. So I was accused of pulling the plug on the Treasury Minister because he voted against us yesterday. But I can deny that that was the case. What they're now going to have to do is go back to see which speakers were on before. And they may well have to repeat their contributions because there's absolutely no record at the moment of what they said. So.
And so have
apart from Jonathan King, who was keeping his phone on and recording stuff.
Have they identified the problem then?
They've got electricians all over the place. There's obviously been a power outage. The lights in Tynwald and everything, that was all on. But there's a fuse gone or a leak. Could be water again.
Seeping into the works, isn't it?
Because Legco and the House of Keys have had a leak, and we had some very heavy rain as well this morning. And apparently the Council of Ministers office as well, where they meet, there's been a leak there as well. So government offices are leaking like a sieve, but not in the way that we in the media would like.
I wonder if that's the first. I can't ever remember it being suspended in that way before.
Graham Cragine told me that they had to suspend one time in his time, so it's going back a few years. He's the longest serving member of the House of Keys, and that was due to a fire alarm going off. But this is because they've got no record at all of what's going on, so they've got no choice but to actually suspend. So Hoppers 2, they're hoping to restart, but they've got to have power and they've got to have a record of what's going on.